Another Around Mijas live stream. I hope we're going live on Facebook. There was a few problems because Facebook changed its operating system, and we had difficulty getting connected to it via the streaming service. But we're back. Now, tonight we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the last couple of council meetings. Mario was due to be with me, but at the last minute, he's had to give his apologies as well, something that can't be avoided. He has to attend a funeral and another event. So Mario won't be with me. So you'll have to put up with my interpretation of some of the things that have been happening um, over the last couple of months in the council meetings. Mario did stay with us throughout the summer to fill us in, so perhaps he's due an evening off. Okay, where are we? I think the first thing I want to say is really to do with the concert, and I want to put the record straight on this. Um, the thing is that there were some false reports in various media that the PP party I represent voted against the mega concert in Mijas. Now, how can I put this delicately? Frankly, it's a lie. Um, the thing is, the council was never actually consulted about the concert. That was already agreed by the government team. What we were asked to vote on wasn't whether we should have a concert or not, but we were asked to vote on spending 1.2 million euros on the concert to a total of 6 million euros over 5 years. Well, why did we vote against it? Not because in principle we were against some kind of musical event, but simply because the municipal auditor gave a negative report on the way this had been done without the required studies into the benefit of this level of sponsorship. Now, on top of this, we never actually been allowed to see the actual contract, but we were against the idea that all the costs for the concert would fall on Mijas. And we're talking here about the preparation of the land, the sponsorship, police overtime, shuttle buses, ambulances, and that all of the profits would go to the promoter, the tickets, the costs for people using the camping, which Mijas Council gave to them, all the food and drink concessions, and so on and so on. So any of the profits from the concert were going directly to the promoter, and all the costs of the concert were coming to Mijas Council. And really, without having seen the contract that they were entering into, we were unhappy to just say, yeah, go ahead with it. It didn't seem like a very good deal. Now, I know that the mayor did suggest that it brought uh, 20 million euros to Mijas. I've spoken to a lot of businesses, particularly in La Cala, and none of them are claiming to be millionaires after this. So if this money has come into Mijas, I'm not very sure into whose pockets it has gone. But that's another story. But I wanted to set the record straight for you on this one. Okay, let me go down to I'm going to work back the way in some ways. Um, the council meeting, which took place last Friday, 23rd of September, it should have been a short meeting, but actually it still managed to last 3 hours. Okay, one of the main points of contention in the council meeting was that the government team wanted to raise the budget by 4 million euros. Now, um, Mario, well, the first thing is that we only had 17 hours notice of this, so it arrived at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for a council meeting that was starting at 9 o'clock the following morning. And Mario and a number of the opposition councillors did challenge this and asked if this was reasonable. to give 19 hours notice for an increase of 4 million in the budget. And there were two reasons for this. The first one was that we have to remember that the budget was actually for this year was only actually approved less than 2 months ago. Um, and it was already approved 7 months late. And now they decide 7 weeks later that they'd forgotten to put 4 million euros into that budget. Now, what were what was this 4 million euros for? Well, it was grants to associations. They forgot to put those in. Andres is saying, "Hola, hola, Andres. Nice to have you joining us." Um, so there were grants to associations. They forgot to put into the budget. They want to increase the basic income program, the Renta Básica, and they clearly had forgotten to put that into the budget. And there were various other things as well. Um, a number of opposition councillors, including Mario, said, is this reasonable? And why wasn't this included in the budget that was only approved 7 weeks ago? We didn't get an answer. What came out was for all of those that had actually challenged this, there were basically a range of insults because they had dared to question raising the budget 7 weeks after a 7 month late budget was approved by 4 million euros. Um, are we in favour of grants to the associations? Yes, we are. Are we in favor of reinforcing the basic income program? In principle, yes, we are. It depends how it's managed, but yeah, in principle, we are. Um, but then we have to ask the question, are we, or do we accept that this is the way to manage a budget? First of all, bringing it to council 7 months late, and then 7 weeks later, saying they've forgotten to put some things in, so they want to increase it by another 4 million. Okay, we didn't accept that. We voted against it, knowing that the whole thing would be passed anyway, bearing in mind that they have a majority. But it was on a principle that this is not the way to manage a budget, and especially not when we're talking about additional sums of 4 million euros. So um, I have to say, and I'm being very honest, if you were watching, you could have watched it live. It all got a bit fractious after that, and I think people on both sides, I would have to say, we're losing the patience a little bit. Wasn't the 3 happiest hours of my life, but council meetings rarely are. Okay. There was something else which Mario raised, and it's to do with this 4 million. Um, although Mijas Council in theory has a lot of money uh, from surpluses, it's not that simple just to say we're going to use this, we're going to use this, we're going to spend all this. There are a lot of conditions that have to be met in order to do that. Um, Amongst these documents that were sent 19 hours before the council meeting was a report from the municipal auditor. Now, his job is to make sure that everything is done, if you like, by the book or legally. And one of the things that he said that if they add this 4 million into the budget now, there would be no credit available to build the residence for the elderly. And this has been an election commitment by many parties for many years now. But in the last 7 years, this has been a commitment and nothing has happened. The auditor says there will be no credit for building this now that you've added this extra 4 million into the budget. The mayor disagrees with the municipal auditor and said there is money to do it. So I think it's one of these things that you say, you pays your money, you takes your choice. But the municipal auditor is, I think, the most highly paid member of the Mijas Council team. He's appointed by local government. He is there to make sure that the financial side of the council is run correctly. He says no. The mayor says that's not true. Well, I know where my thoughts would tend to go there. Okay. Um, what was I? Yeah. Um, I said it would work back the way. There wasn't very much happened in the August council meeting. It was the naming of a street and not very much more. But given that it was 3 years on, so from 2019 to 2022, Mario decided to resurrect a motion which he had presented in August 2019. And it was to do with the Mijas donkeys. So let me just see if I can share this little clip with you. Um, oh, it's not it's not behaving. Hang on. Let me see if I can move this over to my other screen. No, it's not letting me to. Okay. I had a little clip of the Mijas donkeys to share with you, but for technical reasons, it's not letting me share it right at the moment. Um, Mario made several proposals in 2019, and actually it was agreed um, by a majority in the council. And this was to do with the whole situation with the Mijas donkeys. We were talking about stabling, we were talking about a piece of land where good stabling could be set up, some kind of visitor center could be set up. Mario also proposed, why not let's put a live cam in there so that people can actually see that they're okay and whatever. It was approved, and come 3 years on, nothing has really been done. So he decided to represent the motion. Now, in August, the council meeting started 10 minutes late. There was a very simple reason for that, and that was that the mayor asked to speak to Mario before or just as we were due to start, and asked him to withdraw the motion. Um, Now, if you've been following things, you will know that the government team have never voted in favour of a motion that we've presented in the council meetings since that motion in 2019 that Mario presented with regards to the donkeys. And the mayor wanted Mario to withdraw the motion so that they wouldn't be seen to be voting against it. Now, Mario being Mario said, "Well, fine, but no, I'm not withdrawing the motion." So he presented it again, and he presented it on the condition that the council would come back in the September meeting with some solid proposals, and well, hopefully some dates for when things were going to happen. So that was in August. And in September, it's true that they did put a proposal on the table. That is the government team, Councillor Nicholas Kruth, who is in charge of transport, which is the department that is responsible for licensing the donkeys. So, where do we go from there? Well, he outlined all of the things that had happened during the last 3 years, and obviously COVID was in there in the middle of it somewhere. Um, but actually, all of the things that happened were not done by the council. They were done through the Mijas Donkey Movement Project and Katie Darlow in terms of helping to ensure that the donkeys had enough food during the quiet season and during the first summer, where obviously visitors were way down. Um, the vet, which was also organised by the Mijas Donkey Movement Project, which who came in, actually her expenses were paid, but she came in on her own time, did health checks on all the donkeys, produced reports. And so the council really, other than allowing this to happen, didn't really do anything during that time and hasn't done very much since that point. So everything that he said basically was what they were going to do was what was in Mario's original proposal. Oh, they're going to look for a piece of land, and they're going to see what they can do about the stabling. Um, there was nothing really. There was nothing new in it, to be honest. Um, so they're still looking for a piece of land. Well, we're in Mijas Pueblo, for goodness sake. There are not that many pieces of land around. And I don't really see personally what the problem is. There have been two potential pieces of land identified. Um, I don't see what the problem is in saying we're going to do it here or we're going to do it there and then starting the paperwork for that to happen. Yes, they said they're going to do something. In the last 3 years, 3.5 years, that they've actually done nothing. Um, and as Mario always says, when they don't put a date on something, it doesn't really count because it doesn't feel like an obligation. And there's no date being put on when any of these things are going to be done. We will continue to push it. Every time I see Nicholas, I say, "So what's happening?" "Oh, yeah, well, it's with, we're looking for the land and we're doing this and we're doing that." But actually, it's ostensibly that there is nothing really happening with regard to the donkeys. But let's hope that they make good on the commitment they made in the September council meeting, and actually we start to see some major changes taking place there. Okay. Now that more or less, I think, covers the majority of things from the last two council meetings. Um, but there have been some other things that have come up, and I don't know whether you will have come across this at all, but quite sort of by surprise to us because we read about it in the newspapers. We found out that the council had decided to sponsor a sporting group. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it is one sporting group. Oh, I've lost it. Sorry, I'm still here. I was opening up another page there, and I kind of lost my feed here. Okay, it was one sporting group, and they are it's a basketball team. It's called the Unicaja because presumably it is sponsored by Unicaja. And they have decided, unilaterally, of course, this hasn't come for approval to the council, to support this one team um, to the tune of 175,000 euros per year. I think it's for this next year, first of all. And yeah, it is true that uh, we did say that we weren't entirely happy about this taking place. So the PP has criticised the sponsorship of this team um, to the tune of 175,000 euros. The thing is that, there are a lot of sporting groups. That, by the way, comes down to about 14,500 euros per month. Now, there are a lot of federated sporting groups in Mijas. And I think that what we felt was if all the money was going to one group like this, then it really wasn't very fair on the other federated sports that exist in Mijas. Why didn't they sponsor two groups at 7,000 a month each? Why didn't they sponsor 14 groups, giving them 1,000 euros a month each? And the feeling that we had about this, that, putting in all the money into one group really didn't it didn't recognize the role of the other federated sports. For example, the women's football, who even struggled for a long time to get space to do their training, or the Eagles, the rugby team, which have got some space now for training, but obviously they cover all of their own costs. Um, again, it is, it depends what you feel about this, but I think, when there's money available for sponsorship, for example, um, Ron, hi Ron, nice to have you joining us. Ron says, "Wow," and I guess that's about the 175,000, 14,000 a month for the basketball team. Um, yeah, but, when there is money, this is my opinion. It is my opinion. When there is money available for sponsorship, which will help obviously with the costs of getting from one place to another, the cost of uniforms, the cost of other equipment, um, I would like to see that money spread around a bit and not all given to one group. I have nothing against the Unicaja basketball team, absolutely nothing against them. But I feel it's a bit short-sighted and a bit unfair to the other groups that are working just as hard. And we're not talking about a top division or Champions League team here, but other groups that are working, just as hard and struggling to meet the costs of going, for example, for away matches. €1,000 a month to 14 groups would do a lot to help to alleviate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's nice that there are a number of you have been joining us this evening. Um, I guess that's really, oh, something's gone wrong there. Okay, not very sure what's happened. I can see that it seems to have restarted the live streaming process. I'm going to go for this evening. I hope you found this informative at the least, and we'll be back with you next week. Lisa Burgess will be joining us. Have a great weekend, everyone.